Hello, Savannah. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to another edition of Candidly Kesha. It is so good to spend another Monday evening with you. We will not be before you long. We just have a few announcements, and I want to set the record straight on a few things and just to give you a few updates. We want to make mention of the Georgia Mortgage Assistance Program through the Department of Community Affairs at the state of Georgia. They have funds available. The state has received $354 million from the U.S. Treasury's Homeowner Assistance Fund. That application pool is now open, and assistance is based on a handful of parameters. But you can go to georgiamortgageassistance.gov. That's georgiamortgageassistance.gov to get more information and to apply for mortgage assistance through the state of Georgia. Some of the basic eligibility requirements include the homeowner, the borrower, or the homeowner's spouse. These are individuals living in the home with the homeowner, had a hardship caused by the pandemic after January 21st, 2020. So if you, your spouse, or whomever is on the mortgage had a hardship after January 21st of 2020, you will meet one of the eligibility requirements. A second requirement is the pandemic hardship resulted in a significant loss of income or a significant increase in expenses. A third requirement, all applicants, that's the homeowner, the borrower, the spouse residing in the home, must meet the Georgia legal residency requirement. A fourth requirement is that the home must be the primary resident of the Georgia resident. Fifth requirement, the mortgage loan, if there is a loan, must meet conforming limits at the time of origination. So that's the mortgage loan met conforming limits at the time of origination of the loan. And finally, applicants' total household income meets the area's mean income, that's the AMI limit at the time of the hardship or at the time of the application. So there's a formula there that have to be met as well. And you can find out more information at georgiamortgageassistance.ga.gov. Or you can call 877-519-4443. That's 877-519-4443. And then they also have an email where you can reach out if you have questions. And that email address is GMA, as in Georgia Mortgage Assistance. That's GMA@dca.ga.gov. GMA@dca.ga.gov. And DCA stands for Department of Community Affairs. The city is also hosting a nonprofit workshop for organizations, neighborhood associations, churches who are interested in establishing a nonprofit arm. You are able to, I can't see my message there. You are able to participate in 3 sessions starting April 20th. The title of this workshop is Why a 501c3. On April 27th is Creating a 501c3. And May 4th is Completing the application. So it's important, if possible, that you attend all 3 sessions to get the greater benefit. So this is how to become a nonprofit upon coming into office in 2020. having decades experience in the nonprofit arena, as you can imagine, a lot of my advocacy early on was for our nonprofit organizations in the city. Albeit we pose some concern about issues where some nonprofits were receiving resources, but the work, according to what we were being told, was not being done. So we had to advocate there a little bit. Um, Nonetheless, that did not stop us from furthering our advocacy to make sure that the city of Savannah were uh, was in position to become partners with these nonprofit organizations who undergird some of the worst hurt that we experience in our city, from homelessness and hunger, rape and sexual assault, to issues related to crime. We want to be partners with our nonprofit organizations, and that partnership means funding. It would be my goal for us to, at some point, start funding some of our smaller nonprofit organizations who do not get the attention and financial support they deserve and need as well. So we advocated, and the city manager, through the community services department, started to offer these workshops. So I'm grateful that somebody listened to that at least. So we hosted some classes at the end of the last quarter of last year, and they were well attended. The feedback was well received, and so they are now kicking off 2023 with a How to Become a 501c3 workshop. And so again, April 20th from 6 to 8 is why a 501c3? Why become a 501c3? Well, the first reason is to establish your footing as a mission, a viable mission in the community. It puts you in a better position when you are seeking funds, donations, and resources from organizations or from private entities or even individuals, because it sweetens the deal for them to give to an established 501c3, and that they will be in position to receive a tax benefit. They can claim that expense on their taxes. And then creating a 501c3. In the creation of a 501c3, there are several elements that have to be met. It's not impossible to meet these elements, however. Everything from identifying your mission in writing. What is your mission? Your mission is to do what? When I worked at the Rape Crisis Center, the mission of that organization is to provide resources and advocacy to victims of rape and sexual assault, and prevention education to youth and young adults within our community and local schools. The mission of the Family Promise, when I ran the organization 10 years ago, that mission was to work through the faith community to provide shelter and meals to families who were homeless via the faith community. And so, whatever your mission is, it should be action oriented. You should be seeking to tackle a problem, an issue, or need in the community. I always warn individuals about establishing nonprofit organizations that mimic others. If you are not filling a viable need or a niche in the community, seek first to partner with an existing nonprofit organization so that we are not reinventing the wheel or having a duplication of services, if you will. So it's important to identify what is already offered in the community. But if there is a need in the community, a niche that can be filled, a void, if you will, and you find that your talent, your heart, your passion, your resources can be used in this manner, certainly work toward that. And identifying your mission, your vision, you should have a set of goals and objectives. The goals essentially are what you are looking to do, what you are looking to achieve, while your objectives essentially outline how you will achieve that goal. And then your fiscal capacity. What is your fiscal capacity as a nonprofit organization? It may be through grant dollars. but you have to have some financial capacity as you start to chart your course. So, are you hosting fundraisers? Do you have partners? Do you have an established board? Do your board members contribute to your nonprofit organization? What does all of that look like? So, all this good stuff are all the things that these professionals will cover in the workshop. Then on May 4th is completing the application. While it's a little bit laborious, it's not rocket science. Oftentimes people shy away or become intimidated by the mere thought of um, a 501c3 application. And essentially, the 501c3 is an IRS designation. It's just a tax setting. It identifies you as a nonprofit organization, and it classifies you accordingly with regard to how you file your taxes. And so I'm so excited. This will be offered at the Coastal Georgia Center. That's 305 Farm Street, April 20th, April 27th, May 4th, from 6 to 8 p.m. each night. You must register, and it is free. This is free, sponsored by the City of Savannah. And you acknowledge each session that you want to attend. I understand that they fill up pretty fast. So we want you to take advantage of this three-part workshop on how to become a 501c3 designated nonprofit organization. This status will allow organizations to receive tax-exempt donations, apply for City of Savannah grants, as well as grants through organizations like United Way, the state of Georgia, foundation grants, and even it puts you in position to, for some of our local communities, neighborhood associations, it put you in position to start receiving dollars from donors in your community or from businesses who do business in your neighborhoods. They should be contributing to your nonprofit. Now, I must say that recipients of funds and individuals who acquire their 501c3 status, you have to be careful because a lot of reporting is required with your nonprofit. If you are actively receiving funds, those funds have to be maintained monthly, if not weekly, in terms of tracking those resources. What I warn people against as well is don't start a nonprofit to make money. Start a nonprofit, remember. Nonprofit organizations, individuals should not enter into the idea of a nonprofit organization with the intent to make a living for yourself or to create a job for yourself. Now, I've worked for nonprofit organizations almost my entire career. I've never started a nonprofit organization. And for most of the nonprofit organizations I worked for, I was actually recruited for those positions. So just be mindful of those pieces. Good news, good news, good news. And so we also want to make mention of Earth Day Savannah 2023 is April 21st at Daffin Park from 4 to 8 o'clock p.m. So we want everybody to take advantage of the family-friendly Earth Day hosted by the City of Savannah. So we're excited about that. We will see you all out there. And we want to, let's see here, we have some messages coming too. Okay, we will be bringing you some more information about how you all can get involved in the renaming of the Susie King, the former Calhoun Square. And as you know, we have been very supportive of advocates who want that square renamed to Susie King Taylor. So we'll bring you more information on that. But right now, they are putting in their application. And I understand the City of Savannah is hosting a process whereby individuals can make mention of what name they want the park to be, the square to be. And so we're hopeful that you all will chime in and support the advocates of Susie King Taylor. We had a meeting that made one of the items made news, and as always, that news was not accurate. You know, it always takes me back to see how reporters and photographers can sit through the very same meetings that I'm in uh, and report differently. They sit through these meetings for 2, 3, sometimes 4 hours. And you would think with that investment of time, they would get the story straight, set the record right, or at least give an account of both sides. One of the controversial pieces on our agenda included the fairground that called for 3 items to be on the agenda. You all have heard the story about us not being able to get, excuse me, not being able to get items on the agenda. But here, somehow, um, after working for years to get the fairground movement going, we surprisingly saw some movement. Now, I wasn't too terribly surprised. If you all know that the vote of 5-4 went away when the activity of the fairground started to pick up. And so, myself, Alderman Blakely Lanier, supported from day one Dr. Shabazz from the 5th District in helping her to get the fairground project moved. Well, due to some political maneuvering, no one on council except for myself, Alderman Blakely Lanier, and at the time, Shabazz, were willing to advocate and put in the work. And because we were not in the majority, the mayor, Alderman Purdy Palumbo, Bryant, and Leggett are in the majority, and they never would support it. The day in executive session when we were asked to, when Dr. Shabazz was asking for consensus to move forward with the project, we were the only ones willing to do what the residents of the 5th District were asking us to do. The others were dissenters. So in 2020, not far past March of 2020, we had an opportunity for the fairground project to take off. But unfortunately, it was stopped and blocked by the majority. When Dr. Shabazz saw that she was not able to get what she needed with us, and saw that we were not inclined to give into those elements that were consistent with unethical behavior and behaviors that were not consistent with being above board and fair. Uh, that's when the 5-4 vote shifted on council and then became 6-3, almost in tandem to the majority vote going from 5-4 to now 6-3. Almost instantaneously, the Fairgrounds project all of a sudden gained some traction. And when we got into the room where the charrettes were presented to the residents so that they could select one, the winning proposer, we saw circling one of the groups where all of a sudden interesting bedfellows. They say politics makes for strange bedfellows. Were well, in the bed, all of a sudden you had Eddie DeLoach's friends, Van Johnson's friends, and Estella Shabazz's friends. But the interesting thing about her friends, these were people who were introduced to us on a trip we had taken under the guise of a sort of a sister retreat of sorts, or a new politician retreat. Only to be introduced to individuals who were very accomplished and connected. And I appreciated the exposure, but we had no idea that we were essentially being used as pawns in this whole game, whereby these individuals were now a part of the fairgrounds team. Yeah. And so we made mention of our concern, and I wanted to be very transparent. And at the time, I let the city manager, Michael Brown, know what we were exposed to, and I didn't see how it would be reasonable for us to give consideration to such. And then, of course, we're now on our fourth city manager in the 3 years and 3 months that we've been in office, 3 years and 4 months that we've been in office. So Jay Melder comes aboard, and I expressed to him, and he tells me also that he didn't see anything wrong or unethical with us continuing to participate in deliberations or votes on this project. And the city attorney told us the same thing, or told me anyway, because I asked the question. And so as we move forward, I expressed just a couple weeks ago to residents of the Fifth District that they should be questioning what's happening with the fairgrounds. So, because we're now 3 years and 4 months into our term, we had an opportunity in 2020 to get this whole affordable housing thing out the gate, and nothing happened. And so the fairground project takes off. This P3 Adventures is identified as the winning bidder. And as the winning bidder, we learned very soon after that one of the principals on the project was being federally indicted. And so the project came to a screeching halt. And some maneuvering occurred. One of the main persons who essentially was a brainchild for the project, Craig Gordon, somehow got forced out. More interesting bedfellows are now a part of the team. And so we continue to petition on behalf of the residents of the Fifth District who never wanted affordable housing, but they conceded and said, we'll take the housing because we have all these other elements that you all have put out, like soundstage, movie production, music, recreations, soccer fields, football fields, all this stuff. So it's like, okay, yes, we'll concede on a little bit of housing. And so I asked the city manager about the priority, and in short order, he stated to me that uh, the project was launching with housing because the developer needed the financial capacity to start the project. And at that time, I stated that it's my understanding that the RFP called for individuals who were making petition to demonstrate their financial capacity to not just complete the project, but to even start it. And so I never was really given a realistic response there. Nonetheless, we continue. Fast forward, Craig Gordon gets forced out of the project. Now we are parceling off parts of the project to this individual who wants a $1.2 million loan, in addition to two other items that are on the agenda this past Thursday. And so the residents of the Fifth District learned of this, contacted the mayor, city manager, and council and asked that there be a 2-week delay to reconsider until the residents could be notified, informed, and educated on what the plan was, as opposed to removing the item related to the $1.9 million loan for the tax credit, which would yield the developer 3 points for the federal subsidy. Um, we delayed the two items, but the Fifth District Representative Estella Shabazz made the motion to move forward to approve the loan despite the appeal of the residents to delay it. Now, the media was in the room the entire time, the entire time. But when you heard the news accounts, for whatever reason, they continue to make the most marginalized individuals on council the least, the, the ones who advocate the least for the people, i.e., Nick Palumbo, uh, is regarded as this hero. He's the only person that's interviewed and regarded as this hero who wanted to save the day for affordable housing and how this is such a great idea. This is a guy who's advocated for nothing for marginalized and minority communities since he's been on council. But you have the media who makes him this hero, right? And in making him this hero, you make myself and Alderman Blakely the bad guys, in that you state that we oppose the affordable housing. So I just want to set the record straight and say, again, watch the meetings for yourself. If you go and watch the last few minutes of the workshop, which starts before the city council meeting, and the last few minutes, 10 or 15 minutes or so of the regular scheduled meeting. The meetings are archived on Facebook, they are on YouTube, and they are also on the City of Savannah webpage, and you can catch it on governmental TV. Please go and watch the workshop, the last 15 minutes or so, last 20 minutes of the city council meeting. Watch it and match what you hear with what is actually reported. And so, as we've said to these reporters, you all can continue to report the way you report. We understand that not only are our opponents those who have signed up to run for office, our opponents are also the media. We beat you in 2019. We will win again in 2023. And so it's okay for what you all do to us, but you do the citizens of this city a disservice when you do not report accurately. You do residents like the 5th District a disservice when you make it out to be that some are opposing affordable housing when some are supporting it. It's simply not true. You all have followed this council closely since 2020. And you know the very first negative story that Savannah Morning News did on myself, Alderman Blakely, and Lanier, it involved the fairgrounds. When we went to Liberty City Neighborhood Association, Liberty City Community Center, and we made mention to the residents what the issues were with the fairground and how they needed to advocate to get this project started. And so fast forward to date, not only has 3 years been wasted, we're now creeping up on almost 13 years. This project is, the people have been talking about this project from administration to administration. And the reason we're here, ladies and gentlemen, is because this is a very coveted piece of property. This is a huge opportunity for developers, engineers, and contracts and architects. And so everybody wants a piece of this pie. We recognize that people have to get paid, but what we do not want, what we do not want to do is to politicize this project. And we do not want this to be a slush fund for friends helping friends. Okay? And so that's all I had on that piece. And then we just want to bring you up to speed on our campaign. We are so excited. The Kesha Gibson Carter campaign for mayor is in full effect, and we're so excited. We're working hard. We're working hard. And we do have some breaking news, breaking news, breaking news. Listen, 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 listen. Y'all, the breaking news is, let me tell you what the polls are showing. The polls are showing that we are winning. We are gaining. You know how I know? Because they're still in my polls. They're still in my polls and they're still in my signs. Since I have been in office, since we have been actively campaigning and started our signage campaign, which we've worked so hard, and I'm so grateful to families, friends, as well as local businesses who have allowed us to partner with them and place my signs on their property. And do know that all of my signs are on private property, off of the right of way. My signs are on private property, out of the right of way. And we do have permission to place our signs there. However, and unfortunately, the polls are now showing that we are ahead because they're still in my signs. They're still in my signs and they're still in my little polls. So that means we are doing something right. We're doing something right. And I think that what we're doing right is we're winning. We're winning. Your opposition is always will always show their hands in the demonstration of how they behave themselves in the campaign. And so while we cannot control the that type of messiness, we're going to just continue to run a decent campaign, a campaign that will be full of excitement, fun, and facts. And we also want to just say again to the city manager that it's our expectation that our city staff and our city departments not be used in this campaign. It's bad enough that the resources of our police department is relegated to Savannah's opposition to provide personal security and detail. But what we don't need are staffers from our code compliance citing businesses who have allowed me to put my signs on their property. And yes, my friends, that has happened. Unfortunately, staffers have received directives to cite a business that actually is not even open because they had my sign on their property. And that was also the site of where one of my signs was stolen. And so we're not going to cry over spilled milk, but when these individuals engage in these type of behaviors, they may get away with it in the dark, but the light will allow us to say out loud what is happening. And we want to tell and show you the brevity of just what we are dealing with. The stakes are high. The stakes are high, and I'm ready to rise. We're ready, Savannah, and we will do this. We will do this together. I cannot do it without you, so we want you to use this opportunity as a time to pledge to our campaign. The site is KGC, my initials, KGC68mayor.com. So that's kgc68mayor.com. If you will go to the website, click on the donation button, and make a pledge to our campaign. You can pledge monthly, you can pledge one time, and you can pledge as little as $6.80 or as much as $680 or $3,000. That's the cap. So we're so excited to be a part of the 2023 elections campaigning season. The best part about campaigning for me is that I meet so many wonderful people. I used to have cute toes before I ran for political office, so the campaign's a little hard on my toes. Y'all pray for me. Pray for me. But all in all, we really enjoy what we do. We're so excited to continue to serve Savannah. It's a little bit of a challenge now because I'm actually in office and I'm working and I'm also running for a higher post. So listen, that's all I have for you tonight, Savannah. We want to continue to let you know how much we love you and that we're looking forward to serve you. Good night, Savannah. And again, I love you.
like that.